When you think of the iconic New York City skyline, it's almost impossible not to think of the Statue of Liberty on Liberty Island. But did you know that less than half a mile northeast of Liberty Island sits a second small island that has played an extraordinary role in shaping the culture and history of the United States of America? Hello, my name is Billy DeMichelle, your host for today's Scholastic virtual field trip, Coming to America. And I'm coming to you from the heart of New York City's harbor on Ellis Island, operated by the National Park Service. From 1892 to 1924, Ellis Island was the gateway for millions of immigrants in the United States, and today we'll walk in the footsteps of some of those immigrants and learn their stories. We'll hear from the National Park Service Rangers as they share the rich history of Ellis Island and what life was like coming to America. We'll also tour the Ellis Island Immigration Museum located right behind me in the main building of the Immigration Station complex. So there's a lot to cover today, and I know you're just as excited as I am to get started, so let's begin. The United States has always been and continues to be a nation of immigrants. And it was right here on Ellis Island between 1892 and 1924 that some 12 million immigrants passed through the building behind me on their way to a new life in the United States. Some came in search of economic opportunity, others to escape political or religious oppression. Some immigrants came to rejoin family members. They all shared a common desire to build a better life for themselves and their families. As it stands today, Ellis Island is the symbol of the story of immigration and the cultural richness of this nation. Now, beginning in 1892, all third-class and steerage passengers arriving by steamship to the Port of New York came through Ellis Island. Most came from countries in southern and eastern Europe, like Turkey or Greece, Armenia and Hungary, and nearly 4 million came from Italy alone. For millions of immigrants, often several thousand a day, 7 days a week, Ellis Island was their first introduction to America. Before immigrants could begin their new life in America, they walked up this very path and through the doors which we're about to enter together today. Can you imagine coming to a foreign country, not speaking the language, with very few belongings? That's what it was like for many immigrants when they first arrived, and this is where it all started. So let's go back in time, inside this historic museum, and relive their first experiences. Okay, imagine you're brand new to this country. You walk into this huge building. There are so many people, and a total stranger in uniform starts telling you what to do. Scary, right? Well, when immigrants entered the building, they were directed to the baggage room, where they left their trunks and suitcases and baskets, and then made their way to this staircase. Now, although it isn't the original, this modern staircase was built for the museum to remind us that it played a very important role in the Ellis Island inspection process. You see, what many immigrants didn't know was that climbing the steps was the first part of the process on Ellis Island, and that there were doctors already observing them from the second floor to ensure that they appeared physically healthy. Once they got to the top of the stairs, they entered the main hub of the immigration station called the registry room, or the Great Hall. Great because it could hold the population of an entire village from the old country. It was here in the registry room that all immigrants were inspected and questioned to determine whether they were fit to enter the country or whether their case required further review. Now, as immigrants entered the Great Hall, doctors conducted a 6-second physical examination, checking them for problems walking or breathing, signs of heart trouble, infectious diseases, mental illness, anything that might make them a public health risk. If they were suspected of any illness, they were marked with a piece of chalk and pulled out of the line for further examination. The Great Hall was lined from end to end with hard wooden benches. Now, immigrants waiting in line moved slowly but steadily towards an inspector waiting for them behind a desk, much like this one, where eventually their name would be called, and they were asked a series of questions like, where were you born? What's your occupation? Who paid your passage? Have you ever been convicted of a crime? How much money do you have? And through it all, they wondered, will I be allowed to enter America? After the physical exam and all those grilling questions, immigrants found themselves here at the top of these stairs, otherwise known as the Stairs of Separation. They were faced with 3 separate possibilities. The aisle on the right was for immigrants who were cleared and traveling further west or south. This left staircase was the path to New York City and points north. The center aisle, now, that was the one to be feared. For those immigrants being detained for legal or medical reasons, this center staircase led to the dormitory or hospital where they were faced with a longer stay on Ellis Island, one that could easily stretch into days or even weeks.
The Empire State Building was built in record time, opening in under 14 months and adding up to the tallest skyscraper in the world. Born during a time of Great Depression, it rose to become a symbol of hope and power, standing at 102 stories, rising above it all, in record speed to the top of the world.
This is a New York City subway metro card, but it's much more than that. This is a key to the city. Come with me and let me show you some places to hang out, play, and eat. The Union Square Market opened for business in 1976 with just a few farmers. It's now grown to more than 140 farmers, fishermen, and bakers. Some of the offerings include vegetables, breads, and maple syrup. My favorite thing to drink at the market is apple cider. Next stop, let's head uptown for some sliding action. The granite slide is tucked away in the Billy Johnson Playground in Central Park. To get to the top of the slide, you go up a rocky path and then wait your turn to slide down 45 feet to the bottom of the slide. One piece of advice, to go a little faster, use a piece of cardboard and pretend you're at the Olympics. Today's a rainy day and a perfect day for the Transit Museum. The museum is located in an old subway station in downtown Brooklyn. The first thing on the tour is a row of old subway turnstiles which you can touch and walk through. On the subway platform, you can explore old subway cars from the turn of the century all the way to the 1980s.